Enjoy. Cheers.
Beauties. Gucci. What's up? What's up, Benzini? Cheers to the old UK boys.
You always tell me that it's all up in my head. You got me overlooking all of my options. You got me going back and forth.
All right, episode 21, and we might not have gotten more beautiful with the additional guest we have this week, but we certainly got more smart. Spencer Mossman, FC Mossman on X, coming in with the hottest graphics, the best threads that you will find on the app. It's always so good to read. My brother, how are you doing?
I'm good, man. I appreciate the introduction. Yeah. More handsome, probably not, but more intelligent. That's what we're shooting for.
And our co-host, Steve Barbato, went with the full name this go around. How are we feeling, my brother?
Butchered it. I had to compete with you. I was like, you know that Alex has the last name in there. Why not throw the last name in there? Cat's out of the bag.
I wish I could say I'm doing well, fellas, and I know we're all not doing well. I am aggressively hungover right now, and for many reasons, but the main reason is my sorrows. And because of my sorrows, I had to drink them away last night watching the game. Had some buddies in from out of town, so we were excited to go to the bar, local Kilroy's, and enjoy a couple H2Os and watched USA, hopefully get a result. And in different circumstances, there might be some enjoyment that we could have taken out of the level of play of that game. But because of the hole that we put ourselves in, we are not celebrating at all. And there's going to be a lot of turmoil. There's going to be a lot of decisions that are going to be made in the weeks, months coming up. There's going to be a lot of discussions. And that's what we're here to have, like a nice raw reaction with all the emotions high to kind of talk about how we feel. Mossman, start with you, my brother. Let's talk about the game just for a second. We'll get into like all the Gregg stuff, and obviously you can touch on what you want to with that. But tell me about how you felt about the game overall.
Well, first of all, that camera angle at the beginning, what the fuck was that? That they're just kind of like a precursor to what was going to happen. I saw some people on Twitter that were saying, like, if you don't like this camera angle, like, you don't know ball. And no, like, that was awful. I don't, like, you're trying to be too cute if you thought that was a good camera angle. But in terms of, like, the game itself, the structure that we set up, I never really thought that was the way to go with Musa in the midfields. I know he does bring qualities, like, with his ball carrying, but we were always going to need to get a goal. I saw maybe we'd be starting Taji right, and that seemed like that was probably a better thing to do, given that, Panama was always going to score. They ended up scoring 3, so we were always going to have to chase a goal. I just don't really understand why we set up the way that we did in the first place.
Yeah, have to agree completely. We talked about it on the last one, like the striker options up top. And, I definitely had to eat my own words a little bit with it, because when Balogun scored that banger, he had an incredible game. So he definitely was the option up top. I think Gio has been good, especially considering his spell at Nottingham Forest, and kind of how that was a lot of ebbs and flows and ups and downs until he came back into the U.S. men's national team. So I thought there was an opportunity there, especially with Weah out, to really shake up the front three and just bring a lot of juice to the attack. And it felt lackluster completely. Gregg in his post press conference talked about the decision with Yunus Musa and Weah coming out and putting Gio in there. He felt like Gio was the like-for-like switch there for Weah, and then wanted some more activity and aggressiveness and kind of more of a stellar midfield because of the attack that they bring. So I kind of see his point there, and that's where it's kind of frustrating, because I don't even hate the decisions that he might have made for this game, but overall, the team just didn't perform in the tournament, and we can look to a lot of decisions that are made from him in the moments that it mattered the most. Steve, how did you feel about the game?
Yeah, I didn't think we didn't play bad or anything like that. Kind of like Spencer said, I don't know if I would have started Haji Wright. Obviously, you guys know I like Haji Wright. But I think, one, as soon as Balogun went down, he should have been coming in. That should have been one. It should have been Pepi first off the bench. Two, if we did really need a goal, you could play Haji Wright out wide, then have Balogun and Haji Wright in at the same time. But, yeah, I don't know. The guy had like 15 minutes the whole tournament, right? Would he come in at like the 75-minute mark? And I don't know. So, you know who looked good too is Sargent. Like, he was involved as soon as he came in the game, and Pepi was basically a no-show. I don't want to like destroy Pepi, but he looked really good. Was it against Bolivia, right? When he came in and didn't score. Looked really didn't score. Then he came in this game and was just like a non-factor. He was a complete non-factor. Gio had a good game too, though. And my boy Reem, probably best game in the tournament so far. For him. A best of 3.
What's crazy about Pepi is Lautaro Martinez leads the tournament in expected goals so far. Pepi's second.
No.
Just the back of that Olay performance. Like,
He had like 3 golden opportunities. Right. Didn't bury one of them.
I'm
not sure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to bury the kid.
Yeah, exactly.
But I am gonna kind of bury the kid. It's like I'm fucking over it. Like, dude, like he had, every chance given to him this tournament. He's had every opportunity over guys that are sitting on that bench. You think Haji's not sitting there? Especially after Bolivia and then Panama, watching Pepi go in there and just being like, dude, like, what are we doing? I have 16 plus goals in the championship. I've been rocking and rolling, and this guy's got 7 goals in Eredivisie and, has squandered so many chances at the doorstep. It would be a different thing for me if he was just like creating goal chances, like, Pulisic's goal where it's like a corner and he's just getting shots after shots after shots. It was like doorstep chances that some were definitely more difficult than others. But as a striker at this level, at the international level, when we are trying to win a World Cup, dude, like, you got to put him in the back of the net against Bolivia, bare minimum. And he didn't do that. And so for me, like, that is, I'm a coach. I never, ever, when I talk about being a coach, try to say that I'm anywhere near like this level or decision-making or stress that Berhalter or any other pro manager is under. But like, I'm a victim of like not favorites, but ideas of what players should be. And you give certain kids more minutes because of the idea of what they should be. And I think Pepi is this MLS golden boy that went over to Germany, had an awful time, and has rebounded and recovered his career, but probably within that team and within that coaching staff is viewed as someone that should be X, Y, and Z instead of giving Josh Sargent more minutes, instead of giving Haji Wright more minutes, or whoever else might have been left out of the camp. So I don't know. That's my take on Pepi. Who for you guys was the best player of the tournament? And if not the best, second, third, like, who for you guys, you watched this tournament and you're like, I am confident about him over the next 2 years being a foundational piece for this team?
I guess there's 2 parts to that. The first part being who is I most impressed with for the tournament is a completely different answer than who I'm confident in for the next 2 years. And that's because it's Gio Reyna. Like, when he's on, he's on. Like, he had that one pass where he brought it on, like, first time. He just hit a switch volley off to the wing. I forget who he found, but
yes,
I think he hit Jedi Robinson on a long run. And it was just like, he has so much technical brilliance that the rest of the team, like, save for maybe Pulisic, just doesn't have. But am I confident that he's going to be in this form or this type of a player 2 years from now during the World Cup? Absolutely not. But at least for this tournament, I thought he really showed his class, and man, I hope he ends up in a good situation for a club this year.
Steve?
Yeah. I like Jedi in this tournament. I also like Joe Scally. At least it seems like we have somebody that can play that position now, although there's nobody. Shaq Moore's coming in if he gets hurt. So, but I guess Scally, he impressed me because the last time I saw him, he was kind of like, but he impressed me this tournament.
For me, we obviously Christian Pulisic, like that's given. Like we know that he's in terms of the foundational piece, but best player for me, Anthony Robinson, man. Like that dude, every single game, like incredible. Like he just had a solid game with bright moments. When you're an attacking outside back like he is, you're always going to have moments of exposure. You're always going to have moments of like, why is that dude's touch so bad? And it's like, there's a reason he's not a winger. All right. Like he's a strong defender that's aggressive. And, a lot of points in his life, he probably did play winger at like the youth level. And then it got to a point where it's like, all right, this kid's got to get slide out to outside back. And, I think he's from the moments where he was at, like, I remember just finding out that we had a player at Wigan Athletic, and I was like, who's this Anthony Robinson kid? And like ever since that moment, like especially when I was in my younger like soccer admiration of like, just actually truly following the sport, like it was just purely hype boy for me, just being like, whoa, we got a dude that's in the championship, blah blah blah. But ever since those moments, like he has grown and grown and grown and grown to be a foundational piece of our team, someone that we can rely on so heavily. And it's been such a blessing to have him next to Tim Ream. So I mean, I love having him up there. I also think that Chris Richards definitely had some bad moments, but I love the development path that he's been on. I do have questions about Tim Ream. I think he is going to be, he's not getting any younger. I don't think he had a bad tournament, but I don't think he had a great tournament necessarily. Yeah, but here's the thing. Here's
questions about Tim Ream.
But here's the thing. The reason I have questions about Tim Ream is
because
Chris
he's
Richards
old.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like Chris Richards' development can continue in the Prem. It's like, is Tim Ream even going to be playing, high level club ball in 2 years? So I know that's your boy, but I want to give either of you a moment to talk about Tim Ream and thinking, are we going to be looking at a new center back pairing completely? Are we going to be looking at Chris Richards and somebody else?
Steve, you go first. I'll back you up. I have some, but
unfortunately, this isn't unfortunately because I'll be happy to see him playing in MLS, but he's not gonna be going against top flight. He's not gonna be going against Erling Haaland, fucking Darwin New, like the likes of those guys week in and week out. So obviously his play is gonna drop, along with the fact that he's 36 years old. So next go round will be 38 for the World Cup. Like I wasn't expecting him to play in the next World Cup, unfortunately, because he's not, fucking Pepe at 40 years old playing in Portugal. It's not going to happen. But I think he had a really good tournament. His ability to play the ball is still by far the best on the team from the back. But unfortunately, he's going to get old and he's not going to be here. So we got to find somebody else. And right now, we don't really have any answers because Chris Richards, that first game was a fucking disaster. Yeah, he did get it together, but still, the first game was an all-time disaster. So we'll see. Hopefully there's somebody in the woodworks that I don't know about because it can't be Walker Zimmerman.
You hit on the point that I think is the most important with Ream, and that's his ball playing out of the back. I'm going to run a couple stats by you guys. In the Premier League this year, out of 68 center backs that have played enough minutes to qualify, Chris Richards was 59th in progressive pass accuracy and 55th in long pass accuracy. Yeah, that sucks. Tim Ream, 18th in progressive pass accuracy and 15th in long pass accuracy. There's like top 75% numbers in the Premier League, even at this age. We don't have that anywhere else in the back line. Even like, I was maybe going to say this stat for later, but I'm going to run it now. There were 3 goalkeepers in the entire tournament so far.
Yeah.
Did you see the stat, Myers? Yeah. Then I'll let Steve guess it. There were 3 keepers in the entire tournament so far in Copa America that had at least 10 long passes attempted in a game and less than 15% accuracy. Can you guess those 3 keepers?
It's got to be Matt Turner. It's one of them. Okay.
It's Matt Turner against Bolivia. And it's Ethan Horvath against Panama.
Holy crap.
Yeah. We have absolutely nobody.
Yeah. I know Turner for sure struggles. I didn't even realize that Horvath was that bad too.
Yeah. I think he had an exception.
He did. What did he play? 40 minutes? No.
But yeah, that was more of a Matt Turner stat, but I thought it was funny that Horvath was in there too. Point is, like, Ream is the only one capable of playing out of the back in this side. I know he's getting old. I know he's getting slow, but speed was never really a strength. I genuinely don't know how we feel the team without him. How we get out of the back? We're gonna look like we're stuck in the mud if we don't have him. And if somebody doesn't replace him for the World Cup, I think it would be pretty disastrous.
Yeah, it's isn't it crazy too that he was like, oh, is he gonna make the World Cup roster the last go around?
Yeah.
Crazy to think about because who the hell else was it gonna be?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because there were like questions like, oh, is Tim Ream gonna make it? He's 34 years old. He's 35 years old. It's like if it's not him, then who is it?
Can I say someone I want to be in the squad? I'm not sure who they would like pull out of the starting 11 for
Yes.
him. But Johnny Cardoso, he was probably our best midfielder at club level this year.
Okay.
And he like barely featured. He just came on when we were
I see. I thought it's relative.
He was bad in that first
yeah,
game. Though.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I was gonna say. But it's
Yeah.
all relative. But like red card situation. Like I hated I hated the formation that he put us in. Like it was a back five with like I don't even want to get into the Panama game too much. But like if we're just talking about Cardosa, I would need to watch him more. Like you are a stats guy and you probably have seen him. Like I honestly, until the new Don Russ product came out, like hand up, had no idea who Cardoso was. Like probably had seen tweets of him and stuff. But when I just watched him in that game, like I was just like, all right, dude's giving the ball away a lot. But again, all relative. So I'm gonna be intrigued to watch him more. Mossman, can you tell us more about Cardoso and like why you want to see him?
Yeah, he's like a traditional deep line 6. He still does need to work on like his forward passing and some of his carrying I think's a little better, but like his dual win rates and his defensive actions, possession adjusted interceptions and tackles and passes intercepted and stuff, they're all in like the 90th percentile in the league already. I know Tyler Adams kind of has that position on lockdown as like the central deep line midfielder. But if we could do something where it's like a double pivot or something, that would allow McKinney even more license to get forward. We could put him in the midfield then, and he could come more centrally, get more access to the ball. I don't know how he fits. I'm just kind of riffing off the top of my head, but he brings such an energy and he's such a ball winner in the midfield. He just provides so much cover for a defensive back line that I feel like he should have gotten a shot more than he did in this tournament, just given his club form.
And especially, I mean, you talk about Steve talks about depth, and one player I want to touch on that we haven't mentioned is Tyler Adams. So it's like Tyler Adams, dude, I love him so much. Like that guy is, when I'm coaching my team, everything that I want. Like just a Joshua Kimmich dog mentality. Like he is about everything. He wants all the smoke. He will get stuck in whenever. He doesn't give a shit who he is up against. He will get in your face. He'll bark at the ref. Like he does all the dirty work and is such a leader. The unfortunate thing with him is he gets injured a lot. So Cardosa, it could be a great development piece. Like Tyler Adams is an incredible player and has incredible playmaking ability. But if Cardosa is that traditional 6 as well, like Tyler Adams, then that's someone that we can be uplifting, because Tyler does get hurt a lot and that sucks. So we should be thinking long-term about, well, we have done an incredible job, I think, of holding off on this conversation, and we've held the players accountable. Time to talk about the actual issue that I think is the crux of it all. It's the Federation. It's the Federation. It is Gregg Berhalter. It is the failure that was this tournament and the decisions that have been made. And I want to hear Mossman's take on Gregg, the managerial position, what you think the steps are going to look like moving forward. And then, Steve, you can follow up.
I mean, I don't know how he survives this. I guess I do know how, because the Federation does just really, really stupid things sometimes. But the bare minimum was to get out of this group. Panama and Bolivia, and one of them advanced, and we didn't. I don't understand how you could possibly look at him and look at the lack of progress that we've had with this supposed. I mean, people call it, I don't know if this is a golden generation, but it is the most talent that the U.S. roster has had in as long as I can remember. And it's not even that we got grouped; it's we haven't made any progress. It seems to me like he's a main manager and a recruiter. And you see this in college football. I don't really have an analogous situation for soccer, but often like when a program is like at the bottom, like in the depths, they'll hire a certain type of coach that's a really good recruiter and program builder and get the team back up to a certain level. And then a different coach will come in, and then the NIL will come in, And that's the coach that will take them to the next level. It's not as much a program builder, culture person, recruiter. They're more of a get shit done type of a coach. I don't have an example of who that would be, but I feel like the U.S. is in a similar situation right now where Berhalter has kind of righted the ship in a sense from the Klinsmann days, and now we need a new face, a new voice to take things over the top and really capitalize on the talent that he's been able to bring in.
All right, yeah, so the predicament that I think we're in is I don't think Gregg is an atrocious coach or anything like that. I think he's average to maybe slightly above average, but his roster is not some kind of ridiculous. It's our golden era, I guess. Not really. For us, it is. But anyways,
Jeremy said this in the group chat we're in last night, Downtown Soccer Courts. So top managers make teams 10% better. Bad managers make them 30% worse. So I think Gregg is somewhere in the middle of average to slightly above average. So he's basically just keeping the team in like this middling, very average to even sometimes below average. If we got some kind of Pep Guardiola in here, like how much better is this team going to be? Like, let's based off of this, 10, 15% better. And I don't think the Federation is ever going to spend that kind of money. At least right now, they're not, to bring somebody like that in. So, like, what are our other options? That's the problem. Like, I do think we need a fresh voice. So, whoever that may be, it could be like an unproven manager that turns out to be a really good one, something like that. Because I think that's really our only choices. So, everybody who thinks, Jose Mourinho or any of these like sexy names is going to come here, I don't think that's not going to happen. It's going to be some other, like, not even like a Jesse Marsh type, like probably somebody even less proven than that. That's they're hoping is going to be the next big thing. That's what's going to happen.
Jesse might just stay with Canada. Go mess around.
No, I don't love Jesse Marsh. I don't think Jesse Marsh really moves the needle. He's not that much better than Gregg Berhalter. Like I don't. That's the thing. Like just because Berhalter is the flavor of the week right now, and people are beating up now, he's not a bad manager. He's also not a very good manager. He's just an average manager. So I don't know. I can just tell you right now, it's not going to be Jose Mourinho. It's not going to be any sexy name. And then people are going to bitch and complain again when it's Joe Schmo who's been developing players wherever. You know what I mean? I think that's what's going to happen. So hopefully, I still think we need a new voice. I'm not going to be upset at that. But just, I don't want people to get their hopes up thinking it's going to be some big name because it's not.
What do you think, Spencer?
If we changed, it would at least change like the voice and the culture, or just around the team, the way that like people like us talk, the way that other analysts talk. I agree with your point that like good managers, they only change a little bit on the good side, and bad managers a little bit more on the worse side. But like the margin for error, it's pretty slim. But like if we're just flipping coins and we flip this coin and it's landed on tails 4 times in a row, why not flip a different coin? Like if it's a like for like swap anyways, why not see what we can do?
No, exactly.
Much worse. So I agree with your point that he's not like a terrible manager. I mean, he's not the best manager, but he's not awful. He's about the level that the U.S. is going to do, but why not try something else? Because he's not like he's impressed.
Yeah. I agree completely. I think the problem is it's like I sit exactly where you guys, like I've talked about it already. It's like he made like some semi-good decisions like in this tournament, but he also made some decisions that just while I'm watching this game make me want to rip my hair out. And that's where it's the contrast to make him average and not elite is it's like some of those decisions. And that's a part of the coaching staff too. But that's where I think it stems down to the Federation. And that's why I think there is zero hope in this program. There is zero hope in the Federation because they are the ones at the end of the day who are making these hiring decisions. They are the ones who have to, while guys are going and playing at their clubs, make sure they're tapping in with the dual nationals, trying to get as much talent as they can in, forming a mentality, even all the way down to like bringing these kids up from the grassroots level. I'm going through my C license right now, and it's like, when I was going through my D license with the coaching, and it's like these for the like context of it, it's like D license, C license, whatever. You could just keep going up until you're in the pro license. When you're in the D license, like you're still talking about like baby grassroots stuff of like, play, practice, play, and like other little things like that. And it's like, dude, you have to get into some deeper analytical things. You have to get into some deeper development things because the fact of the matter is like Indiana would be blessed to have one kid over the next 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 10 years go and make it all the way to the men's national team. But when you're looking at the big pool, it's like the federation is the one that's failing us. Gregg certainly has so much, responsibility to be held towards him, which is deserving. But at the end of the day, I think it's the federation's fault. I think that they're the ones that have failed us. I think after we missed out on the World Cup, player development became super important. And we did a good job of like upping the talent, getting talent in, really focusing on pushing guys to go to Europe. But now with that, it's like, it feels like a sense of entitlement has now come. Like these kids that are coming from, in Europe have this like kind of like soft mentality. Like it's not all of them, but like just we're past the Gio Reyna situation. But that was like the most like, a youth level club ball insanity that I've ever seen, where it's like my kid's not getting minutes, and then getting somebody's literal job on the line at the international level like that. I maybe I'm not like, I'm speaking out of term here, but like I don't think that's happening in Brazil. I don't think that's happening in Argentina, like where there's like a player's parent is creating this much like turmoil in the entire nation is insane. And one thing that like Dempsey talked about with that 2014 World Cup squad is that like dog mentality. All of them were MLS players. And I have been a major proponent about like get the MLS players the hell out of the US men's national team. So like, I'm not saying that, but it's more about the mentality that they had. Like they were killers, bro. Dempsey was a killer. Dempsey was clutch in every little moment. It didn't matter the skill gap. It didn't matter the age. It didn't matter who they were up against. Like they were up for every challenge. So 2 years is not a long time. I'm definitely super concerned about what it's going to look like. It's going to be in America again, so spotlight's going to be on us. But that's kind of my closing remarks on how I feel about it. What do you do?
One thing I just want to touch on is somebody brought this up again last night. The thing about past U.S. teams, if you think about it like this, like it may not have been the best talent, but basically every single guy on those teams was either their first or second best player at the club level on that team, or the leader, the captain, something like that. Where now every single guy on this team, literally every single one, is either a role player or like I get Pulisic is like a top 5 player on his team. Like that's literally the best, is a top 5 player on their club team. So they don't have the responsibility, they don't have any really leadership. There's no real pressure on them at the club level. So it's a different mentality where these older teams, even like a Chris Wondolowski, was one of the best goal scorers in MLS, or Clint Dempsey, like every single one of these guys, and Tim Howard at Everton, he was a leader. You know what I mean? All these guys were leaders. All of them had pressure on them at the club level, where now they really don't. They either don't play much. Like they're supremely talented, but they don't play much. They're not leaders. There's zero pressure. It's a different mentality. I think that's one of the things too, for sure, that's lacking.
What do you think, Boston?
That's a hell of a point.
Yeah, somebody brought that up last night.
Yeah, no, who was it? He's not even like the number 1 winger on his team. Like the ball goes through layout for AC.
Yeah. Is he even top 5 on that team? He's within the top 5, right? Lower top 5.
Player, but he's not even going forward. The ball doesn't go through him like through the national team. So that's a really good point. I'll bring him up one more time. If you're talking about wanting dog in the squad, Johnny Cardoso is like the biggest dog, probably maybe in La Liga. He played next to Guido Rodriguez. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this game, but same type of a player, number 6, who's just like fierce defender, just gets into tackles, it's just a bully in duels. And I pulled up Cardoso's stats last time. I need to get them out. This is against La Liga midfielders. 90th percentile in tackles, 1, 89th in duels, 1, 90th in aerial duels, 97th in interceptions. Like he is all over the place. He's not a leader for that team yet, but I mean, if you want dog in the team, I think he's got to be given a chance. He just provides a physical presence and gets into tackles like nobody else in the midfield does. I used to think McKinney had some dog in him, and
man.
but Yeah,
He's like an enigma, McKinney. I don't know what the hell it's like, because sometimes he just looks phenomenal, and other times he's just basically like invisible. Like you don't even realize he's playing. I don't know. I don't
It's
know
gonna be
what's going
interesting
on
to
with
see
him.
where his league when he was doing the Harry Potter like celebrations, like that was a different player. He had that dog mentality where he was like going at it, having fun, like laughing in dudes' faces. Like again, a piece that I loved, and I felt like we only had that in moments. But yeah,
Just a
for sure,
reminder.
for sure. All right, Mossman, any closing statements that you got for the U.S. men's national team, the future, what it holds?
Yeah, I got one more. This is just kind of on the Berhalter front. I know we talked about how he's not like a plus manager, but he's also not really a negative either. I think the fact that he kind of makes just some tactical decisions he makes just doesn't make a ton of sense. At least in my eyes, I think that's probably another reason why we would look at switching him out. Let me just give you a couple stats real quick. So the switch that he made to put Reyna on the left and then Pulisic on the right and then bring Moose into the midfield when Wade was out. I guess on the surface that makes sense, but I already talked about how Richards is not a passer out of the back. He's pretty bad at playing a long ball into the channel. That's what Ream does well at. Pulisic is the runner, so why is he on the side with Richardson? And why is Reyna, who's coming to the ball with the ball at his feet, why is he the one that's on the side with Ream? Musa is the driver of the ball at his feet. Like he was like top 10 in progressive runs in Serie A for midfielders. Why is he on? He should be on the side with Richardson, and Pulisic should be on the side with Green. Just small things like that. Like the way the players and the personnel that he put out on the bench, I think it makes sense. He wanted to overload the midfield and he wanted, an additional presence with Musa, but how he deployed them, I'm not sure. I guess hindsight is extremely 2020, but there's just questions every time that we run out a team that are like that. I don't understand the way that he does things. So yeah, my parting thoughts are let's flip a different coin. He could be the man, but let's try something else.
Wow. I mean, we solved the problem, Federation. Spencer Mossman is our guy to lead us into the 2026 World Cup.
Yeah,
That was
true. Look at that.
incredible. That seriously, like from a coaching standpoint, like I love that point, man. That's some good analysis, man. Like that's incredible. I think my closing statement is, we're talking about like from kind of building off of what Steve said. We don't have guys that are the guys for their teams completely. Leadership feels like it's lacking. The big moments feels like it's lacking because guys are maybe not put in that position often with their clubs. And that's where the coach has to step in, and that's where the coach has to put the right mindset into the players that need to have that mindset and uplift the role players around them to make sure that they're pushing that player to get that development in these tournament times, in these short windows of camps that they get 2 or 3 times a year. And that's why it's got to switch up. And, if I saw Gregg on the side of the street, would I probably be a classic situation where I've like shit on him every other day and be like, dude, incredible to meet you, blah, blah, blah. Absolutely. But like when we're talking about like the Federation as a whole, the future of the World Cup, like it's got to change. Hopefully the Federation agrees and figures out what we need to do to make that happen. Who's going to be the right guy? But it's bleak and it's grim right now. And I'm going to be interested to see how these next few months go as we get back into club season and see what kind of direction the U.S. men's national team goes in. Episode 21, Spencer Mossman. I hope we have you on more often than we don't, man. That was a blast having you on. Steve, always great having your different perspective of the sport on. I know that I bring the pod down in terms of discussion and looks, but I love to direct it with you two. I appreciate everybody watching. Like, subscribe, the whole jazz. Follow us at Pitchmasters FC on Instagram. Pitchmasters to the top.